A backer rod is used when repairing cracks to create a consistent backing that controls sealant depth and improves the long-term performance of the joint. A proper repair starts by cleaning the crack thoroughly, removing loose debris, dust, oils, and moisture so the backer rod seats firmly and the sealant bonds to the sides rather than to the bottom. Choose a closed-cell backer rod slightly larger than the crack width so it compresses to fill the void and resists water absorption. Open-cell rods are for specialized cases where moisture exchange is required but are uncommon for typical exterior crack repairs. Insert the rod to set the correct joint depth so the sealant forms an hourglass section that stretches correctly under movement. An ideal depth to width ratio is generally 1/2 for widths up to 1/4 inch and 1/4 for wider joints, which you can achieve by selecting rod diameter accordingly. By preventing three-sided adhesion, the backer rod lets the sealant bond only to the vertical faces, which reduces stress and helps the sealant cure more predictably. This is especially important with silicone and polyurethane materials that rely on surface exposure for proper cross-linking. Using a rod also prevents the sealant from sinking into deep voids, so you use less material and avoid soft, unsupported sections that tear under load. Seat the rod with a blunt tool, not a sharp object, so you do not damage its closed-cell skin. Finally, check that the rod is installed at a uniform depth across the length of the crack and that the sealant tooling compresses it slightly to ensure intimate contact with the joint sides. Allow the full cure time recommended by the sealant manufacturer before exposing the repair to movement or loads. Common mistakes include pushing the wrong size rod too far into the crack so the sealant depth becomes inadequate. Correct this by removing and replacing the rod with one size to compress about 25 to 50% and seat it so the top of the rod sits below the prepared joint surface. Another issue is using an open cell rod in situations where moisture intrusion or sealant contamination will occur, which leads to premature failure. Avoid that by selecting closed cell rod for exterior concrete and masonry repairs. A third problem is failing to clean the crack so the rod and sealant sit on dust and loose particles, which causes poor adhesion. Fix this by wire brushing or using compressed air and ensuring the surface is dry and sound before inserting the rod. BigHomeProjects.com is a community where we connect homeowners with local contractors and provide a discussion forum for practical repair advice. We help contractors find work by letting them showcase projects and engage with our homeowner community.